Please forgive me, you guys. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. I just accidentally plugged in my microphone at the last minute. I've been doing a lot of stuff this morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is March 13th, 2025. Man, this year is going by very, very fast. I am Donovan Saadiq, the recovering Democrat, locally known as the IE Informer, but nationally known as the recovering Democrat, producer on the Demetra K Show. Glad to have you guys with me. No, today is not my regular rant that I do. Just give me a second. I want to share this on this other platform that I have. And this is something I've been wanting to do. It's kind of like a pet project of mine. And I've wanted to share this. And of course, I can't do it because I don't know how. Still trying to figure all this stuff out. You know, this is the time where you really wish your teenagers and your kids were around, because they could do this stuff like nobody's business, lickety split. You know, there it is. It's done, right? So welcome you guys to my little passion project here. Want to get away from politics for a little bit, even though some of this stuff that I'm going to talk about is tied in to politics. So, you know, there's going to be correlation to it. And what I want to share with you guys, and this is my intro video basically, and what I want to share with you guys is some movies that I find that are very beneficial to me, and some movies I grew up with as a child, and I think they're still very important. Because as we know, right now in Hollywood, you have like this big debate with this young actress named what's her name? Rachel Ziegler, whoever, that's destroying, you know, Snow White. You know, again, this DEI woke thing is really hurting Hollywood really, really big, because like it or not, Snow White is not a Hispanic girl, okay? Even though she might call herself white, whatever, it's a German story. And to cast the people out of character, to me, was like a big mistake, because it's a beloved storyline, right? It's kind of like, I'll give you a good example, James Bond. If you've read the Ian Fleming stories of James Bond, he even gives a description of what James Bond looks like. And true to nature, Sean Connery was the prototypical, and he is the prototypical James Bond, because he fit the description: black hair, very rugged person, a person of his, how would you say it, of his time, which was very true to the books. Timothy Dalton met the requirement. Pierce Brosnan met the requirement. A blonde Bond in the types of like the brownish haired Roger Moore and Daniel Craig. It didn't really follow the book. And we know Hollywood, the book is totally different than the movie. That's a given. So no big deal there. You just got to use your imagination. I took theater when I was in college and in high school, and I can tell you the measurement of a great actor is when you could play a role and everybody says, wow, you were great in that role. And it doesn't matter what your color is, what your culture, what your background is. But there's a movie, and it's probably one of the most famous movies in the 1990s, international film that came out. And the movie was called Once We Were Warriors. I don't know if you guys can see this. Once We Were Warriors. Okay. A very famous independent film. The director of this film also directed Die Another Day, James Bond tie-in there. So I wanted to kind of give that to you. But the movie stars... my glasses. A lot of, you know, and this film was filmed in New Zealand, and a lot of people in the 90s saw it, and a lot of people didn't see it. You know, there was a lot of stuff going on in the 90s, but it's a deep movie. And what it is, basically, I'm gonna give you a basic synopsis of the movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend, if you haven't seen this movie, Go see it. It's Once We Were Warriors, and there is a sequel to it. There is a sequel to it. I can't remember it off the top of my head. What Becomes of the Brokenhearted? You guys notice I have really good recall? I have really good recall, which really made me really good in school. So I can recall things if I just give it a moment and let my brain catch up. My little chestnut walnuts in my head, once they rattle around a little bit, I can catch it. But the sequel to this movie was called What Becomes of the Brokenhearted. And I'm going to talk about that later on in my series here. But Once We Were Warriors, and the lead actor here is, he was Boba Fett in the Star Wars prequels, okay? And you guys, he's, oh man, this is a powerful, powerful movie filmed in New Zealand. Rena, what is her name? She was really good in it. And she won a lot of awards for this movie. Rena Owens is her name, and she did a great job in this. Okay, so the premise of this movie, and the reason I bring it up is a lot of people who come to this country from places where they have a culture, they come to the United States and they assimilate into the culture, which is what you're supposed to do. But at the same time, you're not supposed to forget who you are, right? The only group of people who are in this country of the United States where everything was stripped from them was FBAs or freedmen or fundamental Black people, okay? People like me. I'm a descendant of American slaves. So our religion, our land, our language, our culture, everything was stripped from us. So we're the only group in America that happened to. Everybody else came here voluntarily, okay? If you believe it or not, if you want to believe it or not, it's the truth, okay? So notice the topic of the title, Once We're Warriors. Once We're Warriors. And basically the premise of the movie is these people, it's filmed in New Zealand, and these people that are married, they're a married couple, and basically what has happened to them is, of course, they've assimilated into New Zealand, Australian culture a little bit, but of course they've been marginalized like Black people here in the United States, as they're indigenous to their land. They've been marginalized by the government, and of course their kids get caught up in things because of financial structure. But what keeps this family together is their love of song, and the two parents really love each other. And you're not going to figure this out until the end of the movie. And again, I'm not spoiling the movie. There's a lot more into the movie that I want you guys to see. But the premise of the movie is the husband, he's indigenous to slave people of the land. The wife is indigenous to royalty of the land. And these two dynamics come together and they form this family. And the slave mentality of the father is very toxic to the family. And the wife's assimilation and forgetfulness of who she was. She comes from a warrior class of people, and she really forgot that in her aspect of what she's doing because of her love for this man. But this man will not get out of his slave mentality and victimhood of who he is. And so he strikes out in violence in regards to situations. Very great movie. I highly recommend it. If you are a Black person, Mexican, I don't care what your culture is, if you are not of WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant background, this is a movie. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it, because it reminds you of who you are. And so many people come to this country in the United States and they forget who they are. They don't, and I'm going to really push this more to the women, the wives that intermarry with other groups. They don't teach their children their culture. And then it gets wasted, because even though we love our children, a good example, let's say you're Asian and you marry a white man, right? And, or a black man, I don't care. You guys are married. The kids come out and they have Asian features, right? Even though you think that, oh, well, they're in America and they've got to learn this and they got to learn that and they're going to be accepted in kumbaya. That's not the case. The world looks at them with those Asian features of Asian descent. And especially if they've got black skin, total mess up, right? But I'm finding, especially in a lot of my friends, and I'm not trying to critique this, I just say I think it's a mistake. When I would like see some of their children and you're talking to them or whatever, they can't speak any Japanese, they can't speak any Korean, they can't speak any Malaysian, they can't speak any of Chinese, they can't speak any of their mother's native language, but they can speak English. And I think that puts the kid at a disadvantage because they're forgetting their culture, which goes to the premise of what this movie actually talks about. It's okay to assimilate, because that is the father's children. That is the father's children, ladies. You guys are the birthing mechanism. The premise of this is, once we're warriors. She forgot who she was and who her people were. And it's very important that we teach our children both cultures. I don't care if you marry, intermarry, whatever, but you got to teach both cultures. That gives the kids the advantage. If you haven't seen this movie, please go see it. This is my first video, so I'm just kind of giving a synopsis of what I'm going to be doing every now and then. Now, for those of you guys that have been watching my Facebook page, I have actually went out and I have bought the whole, I don't know if you guys can see this. There it is. There it is. The whole Yamato DVT series, known as in the United States as StarBlazers. Okay. And those of you guys that know, I was raised in Okinawa, Japan in my formative years. And anime goes back to the late 60s, early 70s, probably even earlier than that, right? And loved it. Loved every bit of it. Couldn't wait to get home to watch all the anime that was in Japan. That was like, some really good stuff. And so I got the whole StarBlazer series, but you can't get the StarBlazer series without getting the initial StarBlazer Yamato that came out in 1972, I believe. And they've had some remakes, like, okay, the whole series is, you have, let me break this stuff. There's so many things. There's the Comet Empire and StarBlazers. There's the Bolar Wars. There's all kinds of things. But in the Yamato movie series, you have the New Voyages, right? Which is a good one. You have Be Forever Yamato. You have Farewell to Battleship Yamato, In the Name of Love, which was kind of the last one of the movie series. And then you had the reimagined, more current version, which is Space Battleship Yamato 2199, which kind of retells it and gives it more of a better anime graphics and stuff. So I've got all of these things. And remember, I always talk about anything accumulates value if it's kept in decent condition over a period of time. So, so if you keep something long enough, it will eventually gain value. And a lot of us that grew up in the 70s remember waking up before you're getting ready for school, and either the Yamato StarBlazers would come on early in the morning just before you go to school, or at about 3:30, 4 o'clock after school, and you can catch the voyages of the StarBlazers crew as they travel to Iskandar, or they battle the Comet Empire, or the Bolar Wars. So I'm going to be talking about these different things that kind of might have some political aspirations, but they kind of push away from politics a little bit, because you got to kind of transition to other things. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. And again, if you haven't seen the movie, Once We're Warriors, please go check that out. It was, I believe, the most successful independent film up until Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And I'm going to be talking about that one somewhere down in the series. I have a bunch of videos that I have 400 and something movies in my DVR that I was able to record off of, the different TV things, the movie channel and all these different Stars networks and all this other stuff. And I was able to record 4 movies on one DVD disc, and my whole point and premise of doing that was I wanted to take just a little portable DVD player, go to the DR or Hawaii or, some island in Okinawa, Japan, sit on the beach and watch my movies, just hours of movies. And then by putting them in the DVR, instead of having all these DVD discs, I could just take the DVR with me and plug it up, stay in another country for a couple of months and just watch American movies, all day long. There's more to life to me than working. And I retired at the age of 42. And I looked around, because a lot of people ask me this question. They go, well, Donovan, don't you ever, think about, working? No, I don't. Your average logical thinker. Happy Friday Eve, Donovan. Yes. Unfortunately, here we are experiencing tropical storms and heavy thunderstorms. Last night it was pretty tough. We got more coming along. I'm sure San Diego's getting hit more than where I'm getting hit, but it was moving. The winds were moving. My neighbor's palm tree, I was looking at it last night, and it was kind of like bending, as you can see the wind. My pet door kept staying open because the wind kept pushing it open. So I had to put the plastic door down, but then I had to leave it kind of open because some of my garage cats wanted to come around, and and I wanted to get them in the house. So yeah. But I'm sure San Diego's, San Diego's just such a beautiful place. I just can't afford to live there. I can't afford to live there. So, but let me get back to this story about, when I was 42 and I retired from the military and I was going to go work for Southwest Airlines, and I had always worked a part-time job. Yeah, USAA will cover any damage. Yeah. I don't have USA coverage. I have Geico. I have a Geico coverage, so I'm not, concerned about that. But I had a line to go work with Southwest Airlines. I mean, all my military career, I always had a second job because I had responsibilities, and I lost that line in 2001 when because I was going to get out of service in 2001. I was going to get out of service and go into the reserves, regular time, because I had this line, and then I got stop lossed. For those of you guys who don't know what stop loss is, that is when the military invokes this rule that says if you are of a certain skill that they need, you can't leave. You have no contract. Your contract is basically expired. However, they can invoke that because you're still in like a reserve status, and even though you're technically have no contract, they can hold you as deemed needed by the military. And so once that stop loss, once I was released from stop loss, I was like, I lost that line to Southwest, and I said, you know what? I'm more than halfway at this point. I might as well go ahead and finish. And I, re-upped and did what I had to do. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I'm thankful for stop loss. Yes. I'm very thankful for stop loss, because again, if I had gone to Southwest, there would have been no way I could refute being cut and losing my job. It's wherever the number lies. So as experienced as I am, a young guy could join the company with 1,000 hours And he's senior to me because he joined the company earlier than me. So if I didn't meet that threshold of that line and they decided to release all those people, I have no discourse about what I can do. So yes, I'm very grateful that I did that. And I'm very grateful because if I stayed in the reserves, I couldn't collect a retirement, and it wouldn't have been the same as my regular military retirement. The reserves is different, but it's still a retirement. It wouldn't have been nowhere near what my military retirement is, and I couldn't collect it till I'm 60. I'll be 55 this year, so I would still be waiting to collect that money. So I would have to be forced to work. And, I just looked at everybody. They'd leave the military, retire from the military, then they'd go get another job. And I just for some reason, I just said, you know what? I am sick and tired of listening to other people tell me what I need to do and where I need to be. And I'm making them rich. And I just never was with, doing anything. And so what I did was I bet on me. I put my faith in God and I bet it on me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be okay. Hey, your astrological thinker, did you hear about Dawn Robinson has been living in her car for 3 years? When I heard that late last night, I was like, oh my God, here's a person you would have thought. And I don't know what it is about celebrities. We think celebrities are going to be rich forever. They're just going to be rich forever. This woman has been living in her car for 3 years. No shade to her. No shade to her. Because to me, that's kind of smart. You don't have to worry about rent. You could build your, your finances up and stuff and really, recover from whatever it is you need to recover. But I wouldn't be living in a car. If I was her, I would have gotten like a van and just, done that, or a tour bus or something, being her status. And I heard her backstory about how she got in there. Raphael Saadiq had a little something to do with it, the record deals. And it was just shocking to me. It was shocking to me. But see, that confirmed what I always thought. If we keep chasing money, will we ever be free to do whatever it is we want to do? People, and I say this on Demetria's show, I look at a homeless person and I say that's a smart person because there's nothing tying them here to this earth to go be with their Lord. Most of us don't want to die because we don't want to lose our house. We don't want to lose our wife. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that, but anyway, that's just me. We don't want to, we don't want to leave the earth because of all of our riches. Like the story of the rich man that came to Jesus. And Jesus says, all you got to do is sell everything you own and get rid of all your wealth and just follow me. And he couldn't do it. And I didn't want to be like that. So I made a conscious decision to bet on me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be okay. As long as I live within my means, I'm going to be okay. And you know what? It worked. And I've been blessed. Oh my God, you guys, I have been blessed. Not only because I didn't know anything about the VA other than, oh, well, if I get sick, as a veteran, I can go there. I wasn't even thinking about compensation, the financial compensation to it. So when I got the financial compensation added to my retirement, I was done. I said, oh my God, God is good. God is good. And I'm not, you guys, I'm not a religious person. I'm not. I'm just a regular Catholic. I do the bare minimum like everybody else. And, and I praise God and, and give my 10% and attend church when I have to and I can. Let me go back to your average logical thinker. We're having this great conversation. Your average logical thinker says, I know you're grateful for that stop loss now. I am very grateful. And I tell a lot of young people in the military, even if you are going to get out and you're determined to get out of service and you're almost halfway there, even if you've got 8 years, I tell them, get into the reserves, finish that time off to get something at 60. You know what I mean? And still kind of be affiliated to it. Your Alexander says, I almost got out at 12 years, but then I got pregnant. I said, let me let the military pay for this kid. Yeah. See, that was smart. Let them. Well, hey, you could be a prisoner in jail and, and if you're a Democratic person, you can get a sex change at the taxpayer expense, right? So why not have that baby? Why not have that baby? on government expense. And let me tell you something else too. Whenever I hear of like young women getting pregnant in the military, I really think that is really the best thing for them. Unfortunately, if the relationship doesn't work out and you have to be, go the single mother route, because it gives a really good foundation for them to set themselves up for post-military career, rather than rushing out there and like, okay, I just left the military and I need food stamps, I need Section 8, I need this, or I got to move in with my mom, or I got to do this. You see what I'm saying? Just set yourself up first, then go, You're absolutely. So I was actually about to go live now about that. Yes, I'm going to watch your thing on that, because I want to see your thing on Don Robinson. But I saw you on here. Okay, cool. Yep, all your cousin Raphael Saadiq's fault. Yeah, yeah, man. Look, Demetra and I have been friends since high school, and I will tell you, I've been trying to get her off the internet for years now. It could be some of your best friends that will do you in. So always try to make your own decision. Don't put all your faith in that person, because you guys are based on friendship, whatever. Always have your guardrails up, ladies. One thing about you ladies is you guys are so easily to manipulate, because you guys go off of your feelings. Oh, I love this man so much. Oh my God, he'd never do that to me. Sorry, not in today's world. Hey, Michelle. Hi, everyone. Bad music contracts, misusing your money, and I'm sure a plethora of other issues, etc., all leads to a person living in their van. I did see a snippet of what she said. Very sad. And, and it's alleged that it's been rumored that, she has emotional problems, which would be a part of a mental illness, but she has like an emotional type situation, I guess. She was previously married, and I think she was married for like 6 years or something, and that didn't work out. And it's just amazing. A lot of people, if they would live within their means or work their asses off to never be in that position, it would be better off. But again, we have a lot of liberals who tell people, oh, it's okay. You don't have to do that as everybody else. Oh, no, it's okay. There's no shame in the community, things like that. I use where I was born. I was born in this town called New Roads, Louisiana. I call it Old Roads. And whenever I speak of Louisiana, I always say Louisiana, because where I'm from, it's still black and white. You look on this side, like there's a train track that runs between the city. All the white people live on one side, and and the black people live on the other. You look on the white side of the track, pristine conditions. I mean, old Southern plantation, just yards are cut. It looks beautiful over there. And then you look right across that train track, slave shacks, shotgun homes, trash everywhere. And I'm not trying to belittle where I was born. I'm just saying that was the disparity that I saw there, right? And being an outsider, I would come visit, and I was walking on the white side one day, and my cousins, and they were freaking out. Get over here, don't be on that side. You got to walk on this side, blah, blah. And it's a mental thing. Because I was like, wait a minute, why are they tearing up their own side, but they won't go on this side? There's no fence separating them. It's like when Demetra and I were in South Africa. There's such a disparity between the Africans and the Afrikaners. I mean, and it's the white people are walled up, and you look across that wall, beautiful communities. But then you look on the other side, and you got the shanty towns. And it's just, it's a thing of the mind to me. Daryl Jinks says, I heard In Vogue never wrote their own songs. I was thinking they get royalties, but no. Most of their production was done by Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy. And those guys were known as FM Foster McElroy, and they became FM2. I have their albums. I remember that song, Dr. Soul with MC Light. Oh, help me with my soul. Won't you help us, please? We need your sympathy. Help us, Father Soul. Yeah, those guys, and they were the producers and writers, and they did all that. Even Tony's first album was all but 4 songs was mostly produced and written by Foster and McElroy. So yeah, so I heard that each girl got 2 cents per album per girl. That's 2 cents. So the group got 8 cents for every album sold that they had to split among each other. So the record game is crazy. And your average logical thinker, I'm gonna throw this your way since we're talking about this real quick. Angie Stone just came out and voiced, last month or a couple months ago, her situation with the record labels. She is now deleted. Don Robinson being homeless. Because remember those interviews on YouTube when she talked about it years ago? And now 3 years, removed from when she was doing all those interviews, she pops up and she's homeless. I'm glad she's not deleted, but man, this boule, this Illuminati, I think it's very, very real. Because these people, it's like if you are not doing the bidding of the Illuminati and what's going on in the entertainment industry, it's crazy. And what I tell people who go into entertainment, they'll give you the fame, but the money, they'll never give you that. Even Michael Jackson found that out. Look at Prince. The only reason Prince died with money is because he fought the record companies early on and got his contracts and did stuff individually when his contracts were ended and stuff. And he said, no, I'm out. I'm done. So yeah, it's a sad story, but if people would live within their means, I think we would end up a lot better. And praise God that I think my saving grace is I actually believe what I think. What does that mean? To be a pilot, if you don't think you're the best, and that's part of the training, they instill in you confidence. You have to be confident. If you don't think that you're the best and you're not competitive with your peers, you're not going to last very long there. That's why it's really funny when people say, oh, Donovan, you're very arrogant. See, when a black man is confident, it's considered arrogance. When a white man is arrogant, it's considered confidence. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's rooted in, it's steeped in racism, but that's just how it's predicted, Michelle says Keith Sweat, Diddy, L.A. Reid, Pebbles, Quincy Jones, Pharrell all did their artists wrong and did not pay them what they were worth. Yeah, look at TLC, what happened to Left Eye, Vanity. She, got done, dirty, whatever, in the industry of entertainment. There's just so many stories out there that it's just crazy. Look at what Tyler Perry is doing. He doesn't want to unionize people who work behind the scenes and what's going on. What's my girl from Power, Taraji? She's hollering and screaming about what is going on. That's why I kind of pray for her and nothing happens to her. So, man, it's deep out there. It's deep, but I believe as long as we talk about these things and we're aware of them, it makes it very harder for the Illuminati to take these people out. But then this goes back to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Louis Farrakhan has been talking about. Maybe we need to start doing our own, building our own labels again and making them more fair to the artist. I know Motown, research Motown. They did their artists as dirty as anybody did back in the day. Even though it was a black-owned thing, go look at the contract of the Jackson 5, which is what led them leaving Motown. They were man, they couldn't write their material. They didn't own anything. You know, they got a part of touring and stuff, some money from that, but basically they were on the Chitlin circuit and they were a product. They became a product. And it's just so sad. Look at all the artists on the Motown roster that got done in dirty. Marvin Gaye, a brother-in-law of Berry Gordy, he even got done dirty while he was at the label. So yeah, I mean, it's just deep. And I don't know if you guys remember on Dimitri's show, I termed what we do in the Black community like that, I call it roaching. Roaching, if there's nothing else for roaches to eat, the roaches will start eating each other. So roaching, I call that roaching because, of course, that's something we can identify with. But roaching, and we do it to each other all the time, men and women. You know, we dog each other out. I mean, the unity is just there. And, you know, why is it that we take the most extreme examples of things and we make it seem like it's happening as a normal thing? So I'll get a good example, like deletion of babies, right? Abortion. Let's just call it what it is, abortion. Deletion of babies. Every time you talk to just about most women, they will say, well, you know, what if the mother's life is in danger and this, that, and that, this. Nobody is arguing against saving the mother's life. Yes, in a situation like that, yes, deletion is necessary. Absolutely. But how many instances of that actually occurs compared to all the deletions that are happening? It's very small. It's a very small number. But we always go to the extreme. Gay rights, we always go to the extreme. Trans rights, we go to the extreme. So much so now, women are being injured in sports. You know, it's just crazy. Michelle said, I remember Bobby Brown saying that they were hoes being pimped. He said they would perform to sell out crowds and afterwards be dropped back off in the projects. Yeah, remember in the New Edition story, they went out for like 3 or 4 months. Then they came back and they got a check for like, their moms got a check for like $3 and stuff. And Maurice Starr, who was a black man, was the guy that was pimping them like that. And of course, once New Edition left his recording contract that they were on, he went out and got New Kids on the Block, the white kids, and exploited them. And they became very, very successful as well. And they eventually had to leave that dude as well. So, you know, it's just a crazy thing. You know, I always wonder that. Why is it we always take the most extreme example and we make it seem like it's, you know, it's a common occurrence, you know, within our community, and it's not. Do we have a lot of sexual assault in the Black community? Yes. Do we have a lot of Black on Black crime in our community? Yes. But Black on Black crime, just like white on white crime, is about proximity. If I live in a Black neighborhood, most of the crime is by Black people who live in the neighborhood. But see, we take that and we make it the most extreme example. So, but again, I just wanted to get away from this politics stuff and kind of start going, because I have all these movies in my house here, and some of them I've never even seen. Like I use my DVR and I was just recording off the movie channel and stuff, which you can do legally as a backup for your personal use. Let me just make that clear. Fair use. Let me make that clear. It is a personal thing. I'm not using it for profit. Remember back in the day, you had your hustle man that would come into the beauty shop or the barber shop and want to sell you the DVDs they recorded and made stuff, you know, entrepreneurship. That's why when streaming came into service, I said, oh yeah, they're going to shut all that down. So streaming has shut a lot of that down if you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, so I'm going to start this little series here. I'm going to be talking about this and different movies and stuff. So let me just reiterate, if you guys haven't seen this, it's called Once We're Warriors. You can see clips of it on YouTube if you're interested. And the sequel God, I forgot it again already. The sequel is called, well, the sequel to it is on YouTube if you guys want to see it. The sequel to this movie. And the sequel, let me give you a premise of the sequel. If you got to see this movie first to understand the sequel. And the sequel basically is the father has to come and deal with his family, mostly his sons. What is the name of the sequel? I said it earlier in this video. Once We're Warriors and something else. But go check it out. Once We're Warriors, again, if you come from a culture that has a history, it tells of how we forget who we are as a people. And in this story, the woman, the wife, Rena Owens, she came from a culture where she was royalty. She was royalty in her culture, her indigenous culture, she was royalty. He came from the same culture, but he was the slave. He comes from a slave culture of the indigenous people of New Zealand. And she forgot who she was. And she did not instill that in her children. It is oh my God, the story is heartbreaking. Please go check it out. Because she did not instill that in her children suffered. A couple of the kids, I don't want to spoil it for you. Go see this movie. Go watch the clips of it. Because the father could only instill slave mentality. So think about this, you guys, as a Black man. Since my culture and everything was stripped from me as a victim of the United States, what can I only instill in my children of my culture? Slave culture. That's all we know is slave culture. I don't talk to my children, I beat his ass. Slave culture. Women are put above men, the matriarchy. We're the only group in the world where the matriarchy has power. Think about that, slave culture. All because we don't know who we are as Black people. Think about this. We all know we're from Africa. That's obvious. We've got African origins, but the Black Americans are the lost tribe of Africa. We don't know where we're from. And because we don't know, we cannot instill in our children the traditions of where we're from and what we stand for. That's why, ask yourself this, why is it that every FBA Black person thinks that they're kings and queens? Why do we always think we're all kings and queens? If everybody is a king and everybody is a queen, what's the point? I agree there has to be a king and a queen, but there has to be peasants too. And just because you're a regular Joe Schmo doesn't mean you're not a powerful person. I'm an American person. I'm a very powerful person. I'm not a politician. I'm not a billionaire, but I'm still a powerful person within myself. We're the only group that continually teaches the next generation mediocrity. Know your place. Don't do this. Don't do that. Because we know what happens to us when we do these things. We get killed or we get incarcerated or whatever. And then now we're raising a bunch of kids that are delusional, that think they're the same as these other groups, and we're paying the price as we see the rise of substance abuse within our community, the rise of single motherhood, single fatherhood, homelessness. Because we're not teaching the right values into the next generation. We're teaching struggle. Generation struggle, struggle, struggle. So what if they cut off food stamps? So what if they cut off Section 8? We're going to find a way. You want to know why? Once we were warriors, we come from a great land. So what? Bet on ourselves. Remember Wesley Snipes in Passenger 57? Always bet on black. Always. Muwabe says, I'll check it out. Yes, check it out. Daryl says, you went into the movie theater with your camcorder. You also got into a quiet room and taped the song off your radio for your Walkman before CD player. Yes. Man, those were the days, man. Remember, you would wait and you'd make your little love tape. You'd be on the radio late at night during the Levi Who Loves You radio show would come on, whatever it was called, and you would just take, oh, there it is, Tender Love, Force MDs. You get it on there, and then you would try to get it just before the DJ comes back on. And that would be your little makeout tape, you know. These kids don't know struggle. They don't know what struggle is. So anyway, you guys, wanted to be on here real quick. Just wanted to drop that to you guys. I'll be dropping these series and giving you guys ideas on some of these things. Once We Were Warriors, and again, the Spaceship Yamato saga. So if you're in an anime, this one is what really kicked it off. StarBlazers. I bought the whole StarBlazer series, which is a little bit different. The Yamato movie is great, and I love the Japanese in it because you know, I understand it from my childhood and stuff. I know exactly what they're saying. But what I like about StarBlazers is it fills in some of the gaps that we grew up on. So my next big thing is Thundercats, right? I'm gonna try to get the Thundercats series and get that going. And that's the thing about being a retired. You could kind of go back and relive, you know, some of your happier day. I'm not saying I had a great childhood. And my mom gave me what I needed, gave me the best of what I needed. I can't say she was unfair. Every ass whooping that I got, I earned. Yeah, I can't put that on my mom. Oh, my mom was so mean to me. And you know, I talk to people, they'd be like, oh, you know, my parents did this to me. And I'd be like, well, did you earn it? You know, you were supposed to be in at 10 o'clock, right? But you came in late. And so you don't think you deserve an ass whipping? So, like I said, I can say my mother was more than fair with my brother and I, and she put that foot to ass because she knew being a woman, we were gonna outgrow her. But because of her background and where her parents come from, and a little bit of that military training, because my mother was in the Army, my mother didn't play. So I was more worried about my mom shooting me to death. Like, you know, Marvin Gaye's dad. I'm not saying my mom would have done it, but I wouldn't have put it past her if I got out of control. She brought me into the earth. She'll take me out of the earth. You know, my mom wasn't past that, but my mother was more than fair with my brother and I can say that. She gave us what we needed. We never lacked. My mother did whatever she had to do to make sure we, you know, lived a life that she didn't live. That's for damn sure. So again, she took the baton that was given to her and she passed it off to us and we excelled. So I'm not bragging or saying anything, but we allow our children to live in mediocrity. And we say, oh, it's okay. It's not okay. To me, it's not okay. My sons, no, it's not okay that you don't do better than me. You have to do better than me for yourselves. My son, my youngest one, he's 26 now, 27, 6-figure salary, works at a college, you know, and he's doing very, very well for himself. I only made a 6-figure salary, a couple years while I was in the military, you know, whatever. So, and that was accumulative. It wasn't like my base pay. It was accumulative. You add everything to it. That's what it came down to. So I'll start doing these series a little bit more and give you guys some really, because there are some really good movies out there that did not get any play. One thing that I hate about black movies today, have you guys noticed this? The theme, even in Tyler Perry movies, We're always struggling. We're always robbing a bank. We're always living in the hood, right? And if we are not living in the hood, right, we're living the boule life, we are so detached from our culture in the movies. And of course, Tyler Perry's always bad mouthing black men. So that's another thing. But look forward to seeing you guys' videos in regards to the Don Robinson situation. What are your thoughts on that? Again, she said she didn't want anybody to feel sorry for her because, you know, maybe she wanted to do that. And I think that's smart. If you want to gather yourself, there's nothing wrong with doing that. A lot of military people get RVs and they travel the United States because a lot of military bases, they have RV parks on the bases where you can, you know, hook up, stay there for 30 days, maybe fly to Europe for 30 days, come back, get your vehicle and get out of there. You know? Yeah. Michelle, have you noticed that? It's always struggle. Black people are always struggling. And then if you look at the movies, I have yet to see a movie, even if it's a slave movie, where the white person house is in shambles and roaches and stuff. It's all. Go look at the series Roots. Even in Roots, Miss Ann's house was always pristine. But then Kunta and his wife are living in the shack with nothing in it. You know, it's, you know, you can see the outside through the boards and stuff, you know. And what I think Hollywood does, it's a subliminal message to say this is the plight of Black people. And then that message is sent around the world. And they think all Black people live like that. And we don't. A lot of us don't. We don't live like that. It's crazy. But again, I have a degree in behavioral and social science. And I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but I can see, I never thought I'd use this stuff, but when you can sit back and you can kind of look and observe it stuff, and you see it and you're like, wait a minute. Because behavioral, social interaction, how a group of people move and do things. And there was things that were, I could just look at it and I'd be like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. How is that? How is it that the boule of Black people live a certain way, but the majority of Black people live another way? You know what I mean? But yet the boule identify with the poor Blacks, but yet they don't live that struggle life. And then the people that do live struggle life, once they do make it, they forget the people from behind them. It's crazy. Michelle says, Deion Sanders had a decent reality show years ago where it was focused on him raising his kids. To make a long story short, it was not renewed. And he said that Oprah did not like him promoting college. Yeah, I mean, systematic oppression of Black people of the mind. Because think about this, Michelle, and you know, I don't have to tell you because you're already on it. If you think you've never done anything, you will never do anything. That's why in the history books, there's a paragraph maybe on Martin Luther King, maybe half a paragraph on Barack Obama, but basically Black history is we were slaves, a white man freed you, then Martin Luther King, then President Barack Obama. That's Black history, all in a nutshell. I see the same things that you see, Donovan. My husband and I talk about it all the time. We both came from nothing. Now we are doing very well. It is a mindset and a mentality in the Black community. Yes, and you know, and that's the thing. When I try to tell people, it is not a material thing. It's not material. You could have a Mercedes all damn day. What good is a Mercedes and it's parked in the hood? What good is having a Mercedes and you're living in an apartment? It's a mentality thing. I would rather have a Toyota and have a house. But we have so much mental illness and wrong information that is passed in our community. And then ask yourself this, why is it that when there's shows like African Diaspora News Channel, Philip Scott, and all these positive, Demetra K, whatever, these positive shows that try to get Black people to think a different way, the algorithm messes with it, or they try to shut it down, or they give it strikes and things like that. It's crazy. And then ask yourself this, why is it that our people fight more against what we're saying than rather them saying, hey, I might disagree with you, and here's why. No, they go by their feelings. Well, man, that ain't right. Democrats, you got to be a Democrat because, they're for the people. Based on what? How do you say that the Democrats are for the people when there's no evidence of that? Facts always trump feelings. So anyway, it's raining here. My dog is sitting here mad because he can't go outside. I am going to take this pity outside and walk him and let him get wet. And then he'll be a wet dog smelling in my house. And the cat is on this side sleeping. I live in the desert, so I love the rain. We need it, but 96% of the time, it is sunny and beautiful out where I live in the desert. So anyway, you guys, don't forget to check out Your Average Logical Thinker. I'm going to go to her page later on today. If not, get the alert and go see what she is talking about in the Don Robinson situation. That's going to be very interesting. You guys be blessed out there. Be safe. Put God first, or put whatever you believe is your God first, and keep your head on a swivel. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.